please be able to participate in that as well. And now I'd like to introduce to you the, I need to hit the, there. I'd like to introduce our facilitators for the day. District Governor Jim Boyle is with us, as well as past district governors, Diane Noriega and Renee Campbell. We have Brandon Peterson from the Tigard Breakfast Club. Michaela Moore is also with us this morning. She will be focusing on membership. We have Tom Crozier from across the river in Kamaswashugal. We'll be talking about the Rotary Foundation. And in particular, I want to welcome Pauline Peterson. She is an interactor from Lake Oswego, and she is our technical support this morning. And she will be leading us through, and it's just exciting to have an interactor, a Rotaractor, as well as a variety of other Rotarians available to be here. So thank you very much for being here. And to get off and set the stage, I'd like to welcome District Governor Jim Boyle, who will get us started in setting the stage for what it means to have a vibrant Rotary Club in District 5100. Jim?
Thank you, Gary. We're very fortunate to have you heading up our Learning and Development Committee, and thank you for facilitating today's discussion. I thought I'd share a little bit of context on how we got to this Vibrant Club training. A few years ago, we used to train, I'll call it in silos. We'd have the membership chair for the district training on membership, and the public image chair doing the same on public image and TRF. And we found out that training in silos didn't really leverage all the attributes and strengths that we had. So then we went last year to our first Vibrant Club training, which was virtual. We learned a lot. And you may remember at least some of the presidents during PETS. We moved to a more, I'll call it fire-oriented, flexibility, impact, reach, and engagement for action plans, so that now we can show how interrelated the three essential elements of public image, membership, and TRF are to one another and to the, I call it the vibrancy of clubs. So with that said, we're in for an outstanding training activity. I've previewed what has been put together by these wonderful committee chairs and committee members. And I think you'll see an outstanding display of curriculum, and also hopefully you'll enjoy it and have some fun along the way and learn a lot. Thank you very much for your participation today, and we look forward to hearing your comments afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And Pauline, if you could advance a couple of slides in the next one, please. And so Jim was talking about flexibility, impact, reach, and engagement, and he referred to it as FIRE. We like to think of this as our ability to increase our ability to adapt, increasing our impact, expanding our reach, and enhancing participant engagement. And each of those priority areas and objectives will be covered in today's presentation. Next slide, please. And one of the real keys that we have focused on is it's kind of like a three-legged stool. So rather than thinking of public image and brand or membership and the Rotary Foundation as silos, really they are a three-legged stool that supports all of us, and you will be seeing us refer to this stool throughout the process. And I'm pleased with the next slide to introduce Diane Noriega, who will talk about the first leg of that stool, that being public image. Diane?
Thank you, Gary. So go on, give us the next slide, which is on my title page. So this, we're focusing on several things with respect to public image this morning. Public image is one of the legs of the stool, and so what we're really doing is integrating the essential elements and relating it to fire. So I'm going to be talking about inclusion, diversity, equity, and access idea. And then I'll be introducing Brandon Peterson, who's going to be taking it from there and talking about media in public image. And then Renee Campbell is going to take it from there and run us through a review of branding 101, we'll say. So fire, flexibility, impact, reach, and engagement. Next slide. So public image, the primary focus is, we think, is on impact and reach with a dash of flexibility and engagement. Moving on. So why? We always start with why. Why is public image important? The community needs to know, nope, go back. Community needs to know who you are, what you do, what you stand for. These are critical in building a strong presence for your Rotary Club in your community. Okay, now you can change it. So your visibility, your identity makes your presence known. So I happen to have a couple of photos from my own club, Rotary Club of Gresham. And as you can see, we got really into this whole public image, and we created a sandwich board that we put out on the sidewalk while we were doing this work, cleaning up. One was the Suru Island, which is the Japanese garden here in Gresham. And what you see these people doing here is they're doing a whole makeover cleanup at the Gresham Historical Society building. And I wanted to be sure that that these photos give the impression that we are a diverse club. So I picked this because there was a woman and there's a gentleman with white hair wearing his t-shirt, Rotarians at work, and another younger man in the photo. Okay, change slides, please. Idea. Our DEI task force just recently changed the order of the items in diversity, equity, and inclusion to start with inclusion. Now, of course, it makes a catchy, a catchy acronym so you can remember idea, but more importantly, it starts with inclusion. And that means that we're talking about everybody. So how are our clubs inclusive? How is your club diverse? And how does your club reflect your community? Because as you know, in the RI statement on diversity and equity, they talk about your club reflecting your community. And then how can diversity enhance and enrich your club? The more diverse people you have, whether it's vocationally diverse people, ethnically diverse people, gender diverse people, you're bringing diverse perspectives into your club, which can give you different focus. It can bring skills and talents to your club that perhaps will help you to relate to your community. So it's really a way to enrich the club experience. Go ahead. So how public image supports inclusivity, diversity, equity, and access. So how does your club define diversity? We're a very diverse region. Diversity will be different in our urban areas from our agricultural areas, suburban areas. So how do you best define diversity? Is it gender? Is it sexual identity? Is it age, ethnicity, vocation, abilities? Diversity is a very broad subject. So I encourage you to look at that, at diversity in the broadest sense. Images. images are so important. I got, subtitle worth 1,000 words. So with images, you're establishing your presence in the community. And I chose this one because it really speaks to ability. They're making wheelchairs. You can see that there's a woman that's working on that, a Rotarian who's working on the wheelchairs along with her colleagues. And this, when you see images like this, it can attract new members. It can attract people who say, well, I would like to do good in the world. So this is one of the ways that public image can really impact membership by attracting members. You can attract sponsors. Someone will see, photographs, billboards, whatever they might be, and they'll say, oh, I could support that. If they know who you are and what you're doing, the ask is so much easier. They'll say, yes, I'd be happy to sponsor your fundraiser. I'd be happy to sponsor or help with your project. Community will participate in your service projects, bring non-Rotarians in to help, and bring more people with more hands to do all the good work. Go ahead. I can't do this. So the question, of course, that everyone asks themselves is, can I see myself in your club? So I chose these photos. One is a repeat of the one from Gresham. These are RI photos, but this is a young man who's helping a child, and obviously in school. The photograph are Rotaractors who are obviously planning something. And it's like, so how can I see myself in your club? If your public image materials, whether it's brochures or, your Facebook page or your website, you need to make sure that that shows the diversity of your club. I always have to tell my own story. When I moved here, and there was no Rotary Club in Sandy. I'm trying to work on that. But I went to Gresham Rotary, and I walked in the room, and there were 3 women out of about 35 members that were there. And of course, this not being my first rodeo, in my old age, I've gotten much bolder. So I went to the membership chair and said, so where are the women? What's wrong with this picture? And they went, well, we just, yeah. So I said, okay, I'll help you with that. So we have to be able to see ourselves in the club if we're going to join. If you walk in and all you see are people that are not like you, then you're not really feeling welcome. I like this photograph a lot. This is from Washington State, where they're building mini homes. And I love this one because it's 2 women and they've got, they're building homes. And there she's got her Rotary t-shirt on. So this is a really good photograph to say, look, here we are. We're women. We're building homes. So how do people see you? Do they go to your website? And just I have to ask you to do some self-reflection here and analyze. Do you have a website? Is your website current? Does it show that diversity of your club? Does it show the good work that you do? One of my committee members, Karen Holton, has done an audit of all of our clubs, their websites, their Facebook pages. And we have a lot of work to do. And hopefully we'll be able to help you with that. So Facebook, is your Facebook current? Do you have this year's theme on your Facebook page? Is it engaging. And we're going to have Brandon talk about ways to make your Facebook page, your website more engaging. Traditional media, newspaper, do you have articles with photographs showing what you're doing in the community? Instagram, Twitter, and then the obvious one, invitation. Invite people to come to your club so that they can see and hear what you do. And that's always, when Jim's ask one, bring one, the power of one. If we all brought one person into Rotary, what a huge difference that would make in our membership. Okay, go ahead. So resources. These are the directions to get you to Rotary International Brand Center. You go to rotary.org website, log into My Rotary, and then go to Brand Center from the drop-down menu. The Zone website also has a lot of resources for public image. Go to zone2627.org and you go to the resources tab and click on public image. Your club is the best source of content for your public image, photos. Everybody has a camera in their hand all the time. You just have to make sure that someone is taking photos of your events and your service projects and your speakers so that you have that material available all the time. Action shots. As I said, no backs unless they're wearing a logo t-shirt. Members need to share all of their club posts on their social media. Share what's the latest on your Facebook page. Invite people to like your Facebook page. LinkedIn and Instagram, we just recently become active on LinkedIn, and I encourage you to think about that with your club because it really speaks to our networking and with all of our businesses together. So what do you need? How can you best tell your story? So one of the things that we want to do is reach out to you and say, where are you having your challenges with your public image? We have resources through our committee. Website, sometimes it's best just to call in the professionals. And we have two businesses in our district that are Rotary owned, Lewis Media Group, who does the website for the district, and Crescendo Marketing, which is Karen Holton's business, and she also does website development. And there are certainly more people that can do that. But if you really need help, contact someone who can, professionally give you a really good start. Facebook, Karen Holton manages our Facebook page and can also help you with your Facebook page. LinkedIn, Kate Ertman on our committee established our district LinkedIn page and can be helpful to you if you want to create a LinkedIn page. Images and photographer. Dwayne Ray, he's our resident photographer. But, as I said, everybody's a photographer these days. Brochures, design. Brandon is our go-to guy, also with video. And Daniel Spalding has also been instrumental in working on creating actually a studio at the district office where you can make videos. And then for branding basics, Renee Campbell, of course, who can help you with all of the RI guidelines for using the Rotary logos. So you're going to be hearing from Brandon next, and then you're going to be hearing from Renee. So thank you. And please put your questions in the chat and we will get to those towards the end.
Thank you,
Brandon?
Diane. Yep, thank you, Diane. So we've had a very challenging last couple of years for Rotary, and I hope I have remote control now. Pauline. There it is. Okay, perfect. So today I'd like to talk about using media in a way to expand beyond the four walls of our clubs. We all know that we meet weekly to have our meetings in our clubs, but how are we taking that and showing it to our community? So a question I have here, and give me a second while we do this. Oh, these controls are not working correctly. Okay, controls are not working. So Pauline will have to do it. Next slide, please. So how are you reaching your community and prospective members outside of your meetings? Rhetorical question. There are different types of media that we can use through Rotary. Unfortunately, I don't have time to really teach you how to use the certain types of media or social media or video, but I'm hoping to give you some ideas of things that you can do in your club to expand your reach outside of your meetings. We all know about print media being newspapers, magazines, banners, billboards, brochures, and flyers. We've actually seen a billboard here in our district recently. Broadcast media, traditionally television and radio, but internet media is really something that's become more accessible and more easy to use in the last couple of years. So for internet media, we have social media, and another one I think that we haven't used in our district, but I'd be curious to see if we could start would be podcast. I think it'd be great if we could do a district podcast, a regional podcast, or something just to kind of help share the story of Rotary in an accessible way. So some examples of some things around our district that you could do in your community to show off your club. One of the basics has been around for a while is street signs. And I know there's a lot of clubs that actually do this. I see it in McMinnville every time I drive through. There's a great example from Lewis River on their Facebook page where they showed that they actually changed their signage in the town from the older branding that was discontinued about 2014, 2015 into the newer Rotary branding and making it more clear about where they meet and what time they meet. Russell Hampton is one of the licensed dealers for Rotary supplies. They have some other examples of signs on their website that you can get. You can get a updated branded Mark of Excellence or Rotary wheel that has the complete solid blue background. Just make sure you're avoiding that white and blue two-toned logo. Other examples of things around our district is two clubs, Rotary Club of Three Creeks and Lewis River, launched a billboard about the polio vaccine and the COVID vaccine, which was very visible in the community. This is something that we do also want to try as a district to get some more larger messaging out there in the community. Next. This is an example from our neighbors down south, District 5110, which is the southern part of our state, launched, I think, a couple of these billboards, which I thought were pretty amazing. And I think it'd be awesome to have something similar up here. Banners, they're very effective, inexpensive things that you could do, making sure you're showing off what you're doing and who you are to the community. We were very fortunate to have Barb Jones in our club who would print more banners than I know what to do with, but to really advertise what we were doing when we did our graduation drive-through, when we did our essential workers gift set bags at the TriMet stop. So that way you're very visible to your community about who you are and what you're doing, and that could engage more people. Another very inexpensive thing that's also, I think, a lot easier to set up and transport are pull-up banners. We recently launched 3 new pull-up banners in the district that are available for you to check out for your events. And they're at the district office through Liz, if you just put a request in for them. And they're really to use that kind of newer branding and imagery to show off what we do as a district and clubs to kind of get people to join. I don't have the picture of the polio one, but it's there. So question I pose is video is scary, but we've all adapted. And how do I know? Because we've all been doing it through the pandemic. Our Rotary district page on YouTube has recently expanded greatly. I think the last time it was used was 2016. And this year, District Governor Jim Boyle wanted to change the district newsletter into a video update, which I think has been more accessible to people. And it's really showing off that you know how to record videos, and it's really becoming more accessible for people to see what we do. And you can share these messages with people who might be curious about Rotary. And then I think the next slides are just some examples of clubs that have adapted to hosting hybrid meetings and ones that have used maybe less technology with a cell phone and a ring light. But it's just showing that you can now take that from what was internally in the club walls and kind of show it out on Facebook, YouTube, and actually have recordings of some of the amazing speakers you have come through. And this was the live stream I did with District Governor Jim a couple weeks ago, kind of behind the scenes. So what types of videos can we produce? Traditionally, videos are recorded. These can be edited. They can be based on a certain topic. You can use them to promote special events. They're more polished, and I think they're something that you can do. You can do live streams of meetings, which I think has been very beneficial in the last couple months when we've expanded the hybrid. I've been trying to push out some of our speakers onto Facebook so you can show off who you're bringing in. We had our mayor come in and give a talk, and so I put that out on Facebook. And then I've also tried to expand it to have multiple cameras to show what's going on in the room. You can use Zoom to push out your meetings, and those are the two examples at the bottom. You can also use that technology to live stream events, which I think is more important now. I noticed that Wilsonville has put out a live stream of them dedicating a peace pole out in the community. They showed a live video of their concerts in the park. I threw up a live stream of us installing a clock in downtown Tigard, just as a kind of a way to be accessible, and so people can actually see what you're doing out there in the community. Do we have a couple questions here? Okay, so what are the benefits of posting videos? I just want to kind of open that up to people in the crowd to get you kind of thinking. Are there any other types of videos that you've produced in the last couple of years that you think are beneficial? I did see, I think up in Camas, they did a couple videos with their Rotary Exchange students to kind of document their times to show, you know, the effects of the exchange program. I think RILA has launched a couple of videos that have been successful to show what people's perception of RILA is. And I think RILA is something that we do very well in our district that we don't advertise very well. Next slide. So how do we gain the technology and knowledge? So for equipment, our district office has set up a recording studio and has other equipment available. I know Liz is there, I think Monday through Friday up through 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm sure you can communicate a time to come in to use that equipment. There's a green screen, there's backdrops, there's cameras, microphones, and lighting. And there's also a nice guide that Daniel put together that walks you through how to record the videos and use the equipment. And if you have any issues with editing or getting the video off, you can always reach out to Daniel Spalding or myself. And I think we're more than happy to step in to help. Cell phones are amazing technology. A lot of the live streams that you see put out are just videos from cell phones. And then members of your club might already have the equipment. DSLR cameras are very popular. Through very cheap dongles, you can actually change it into a USB webcam to put it out over Zoom or record events. And equipment's become smaller and more affordable. Some of the cameras that I've been using are these little guys that I got Jim Boyle to invest into that help push out those live streams. And where can you get some information on how to do things with videos? Watch YouTube tutorials. One that I've looked at a lot, especially for hybrid meetings, is every church in the country seems to have tackled the problem of live streaming their services. And it's very similar to live streaming a Rotary meeting. So watch what churches in your community have done. Maybe go ask if you attend a church how they're doing it and kind of see what kind of technology you need from that. There's also Facebook groups or forums on the topic. I follow one just to kind of get that trial and error. Technology is scary and we're going to make a lot of mistakes, but until you try and do different things, you're not going to know what it does. And I think next slide, we'll just ask for some questions. Oh, my slide is missing. So do we have any questions from the group on media or what we have?
Brandon, there's a couple of questions that are in the chat box.
Here we go.
From Stu Martin, if you can check
Stu Martin, for clubs that are new at this, do the district resource people have some checklist or basic resources to get started? I am trying to produce a series of videos or guides on the topic. I did record one last night on how to create a logo that'll be pushed out in the handouts. Renee will talk about it and then we'll put it out online. But we can also take suggestions from people about what you're having issues with and address it in a way that can be beneficial to all concerned. So if you're looking for specific help on different things, I'll be happy to help put together some tutorials. Can any of the PR awareness, social media, or other costs be subject of district grants? That's a question I don't know. I don't know if it can be a district grant, but we have done some public image mini grants in the past, and that might be a source of some resources. And Diane can probably answer that one a little bit more.
Brandon, let me speak to that one, please. So the key for a district grant really is it going to have an impact, and do you have Rotarian involvement? So long as you cover those elements, there's really no reason that you couldn't use a matching district grant to produce some media. And then Diane has had that mini grant for PR projects, and I believe that was awarded, so that's gone for this year, but that's another option to help offset some of those costs.
Thank you, Tom. A couple things we're doing in the district to help launch our messaging through, Prospect members and Rotarians is we've launched the Rotary Story Slam this year, and hopefully you've seen some of the information for that. But my hope is from doing the Rotary Story Slam and getting some of those great stories about Rotary out in our communities, that we can actually promote Rotary to people who might be prospective in joining. So I hope you guys are participating in that. And I'm hoping that we can get some of those good stories on video to actually share to future events and online. Any other questions? So question from Rob is one of the challenges during a club meeting is streaming a sound. That is an issue, I think, for everybody. It's an issue for me. The hardest part is trying to make it not intrusive to speakers and trying to make it so you can hear both the people that ask questions in the audience, hear your president when they get up, they switch out to have a speaker come in. Wireless microphones are very inexpensive and cheap and easy, and they clip on. I've been trying to use those in the last couple of meetings as a way to make sure you can hear the speaker. They just kind of clip onto your collar, and you just got to make sure that people are trained to hand it off to the next person. There's also some other microphones that work a little better. They're shotgun microphones that kind of help direct the sound towards the room. So I try to have one microphone in the room in the crowd, and then one microphone up at the podium or lectern when people are speaking. It's not ever going to be perfect, but that's the best I can do. Any other questions? All right. Like I said, we're around to answer questions through online. If you want to send us an email, you want to reach out on the district Facebook page, we'll watch for questions and suggestions of things to put out to help you. But I'll pass it on to Renee Campbell, past district governor, for branding.
Thank you, Brandon. Pauline, don't share the slides yet, please. Thank you. Excuse me. Recently, Krusteaz quit making my favorite pancake mix. I depended on that for those quick breakfasts and those occasional meatless Monday dinners. When I bought that brand, I knew what I would get every time, and I knew what to look for when I went to the grocery store. So I had to go searching for a new replacement, looking for the same things that I loved about my favorite brand, that it was easy, tasty, nutritious, economical. I read labels and I finally settled on Kodiak cakes, and it delivered on its promise. And now when I go to the grocery store, I look for that brand mark, and I am confident that I am going to get that same good product every time. The product, the culture, and the consistency of the experience is the brand. The way it's packaged with its brand mark or its logo tells you what to expect in the package. So we, as Rotarians, our culture, who we are, the difference we make, what we stand for, that is our brand. So Diane and Brandon have been telling you various ways that we can publicize, we can get the word out, share about all the wonderful things that our club is doing that make a difference, that express our brand. So we're going to take a short refresher on how we need to package those messages in a way that uses our brand marks to be sure that we are recognizable as we reach out into the world. So some of this will be repetitive to seasoned public image leaders, but for the sake of the new ones and the fact that we are integrating TRF, membership, PEs, presidents, for a united, vibrant club message, it's worth a fresh and brief look. It's been over 10 years since we hired an international marketing company to help us articulate who we are in a consistent and cohesive way. And out of that came new marks, colors, voice, and image recommendations. Please share the screen now. This is our master brand signature. It signifies Rotary International, all of us. And it has replaced the legacy marks that you see down in the corners. And it has replaced that for everything except your legacy Rotary pin. In addition to the master brand signature, let's see, I'm kind of experiencing the same thing that the others were experiencing. Okay, now I've got control. Yay, I'm in control. In addition to the master brand signature, this is called our mark of excellence, and it should always be used in conjunction with the master brand signature as shown in these examples. And the exception is those great new road signs that Brandon showed you and some of the banners that you will get from Rotary International and Russell Hampton. The master brand signature. This is the image to use on all of your signs and banners, your website, social media, press releases, fundraising materials, apparel, awards, swag, everything, anything printed or digital representation of Rotary. When you are not talking about all of us, Rotary International, you need to include a locator or a description, and that can be your club, your region, foundation, your project, and these are just some examples. You may use any of these color combinations, any of these formats, whether they're stacked, or you can see what we call the horizontal lockup. These are very easy to make for yourself by logging into My Rotary, the Member Center, the Brand Center, and it will take you to this screen where you choose logos, club logo templates, taking you to this screen where you can choose the format and the color combination that you want. Brandon has designed, and he told you about this video that he made. It is now on the website. It'll be in the chat and in the handouts that walks you through how to make your logos on this site. You'll notice in this one, it uses what we call the simplified logo, which can be used anytime Rotary International is going to be too small to read or too small to embroider. In the Brand Center, you will also find this essential guide. Can I say it again? Essential guide that contains the information that you need to know about using the brand marks, and not just for Rotary, but for Rotaract, Interact, Exchange, the Foundation, and others. This document also contains our color palette, the fonts that we should be using, great information on our voice and our values, and suggested imagery that expresses those. You'll also find some requirements for space around the logo, as well as some don'ts. You should never put anything on top of, behind, or around our marks. They need to stand on their own. And never substitute fonts, as you see in the lower right-hand corner. Use the accepted fonts and don't ever distort it. Don't squish it and don't stretch it. For more in-depth look on how to use our marks, go to the Learning Center on My Rotary, select Public Image, and there is a course there that you should take called Our Logo Representing Rotary. We have given ourselves lots of time to transition to this fresh, more modern look and feel. It is no longer new. You cannot call these our new marks. These are not new. It's almost 10 years old. And these brand marks should be fully integrated into all of our communications. And as Diane said earlier, sadly, in many clubs, that is not the case. We should be every bit as careful with our own image as any of the brands that we know and trust are. So I urge you to update any apparel and any printed or digital communications now. Brandon mentioned licensed Rotary vendors. Please use those if they offer and provide the item that you are looking for. But if they don't, and you're using a local vendor or doing the work yourself, be sure that you provide your vendor with that voice and visual identities guideline document to be sure that they represent us all well as we are reaching out into our communities and our world. Diane also shared all of the members of our committee reach out to any of us, and we would be so happy to help you get this done. I know this has been brief, it's been compact. I can take your questions if you have any. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat. So you know where to go if you need some help. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. And for everybody, we will be posting the PowerPoint. We will also be posting several handouts and documents and brochures that you will be able to have access to. And you will also be receiving an email from me that has all of those as attachments. You will also find it on the district website under Learning and Development, and in that page there. So thank you very much, Renee, Diane, and Brandon. I appreciate your presentation. And what we would like to do now is give you a 5-minute break, and then we will resume and be talking about membership. So 5-minute break, and then we will be back at, I'm going to use my clock at 9:26. See you shortly.
I need to remember to say this, but Jim Walker has a really cool background set of like a forest and kind of like bark and almost like a nature trail. He kind of walked off the screen and it looked like he was walking down that path.
And to answer your question, Rob, I think sound is the thing I struggle with every week because nobody's ever going to go along with the program. They're always going to move. They're always going to go somewhere else. I was trying to hide it on the podium so they didn't have to wear a microphone, and then they'd immediately walk and go give a presentation off to the side. So it's always a struggle.
Well, thanks for letting us know that even those who are more technically advanced than I am are still challenged.
Yes. What kind of equipment are you using at your meetings?
We have been borrowing club members' stuff, whether it's iPads, computers, so that we can both show the room to our virtual attendees, as well as a laptop to the presenter. And then we have a club member who brings in a Bluetooth gadget that we sit in the middle of the room so we can both hear and speak.
So like a conference
type of gadget, but it only works if you're standing about 4 feet from it.
Yeah. So the cameras I use have a far field microphone in them. It seems to work pretty well for capturing the audio from the room, but the problem is then you start getting that kind of echoes, and so I constantly have to mute different microphones depending on what's going on, and it's a headache, but it's the world we live in.
Well, anytime you get an update on what is good equipment to use, please share it.
One of the other things I've been trying to use, but again, trying to set up in 15-minute windows, I have a little mini soundboard that has mute buttons on it. So I'm trying to plug in multiple microphones and then being able to mute or change the volume of things on the fly. Again, it's a lot to set up, and I kind of wish I had a stationary station that I could just keep set up. But there's a lot of little soundboards that you could also use.
And you love those toys, don't you, Brandon?
It's something to do. Just look how great Jim Boyle looks today.
I noticed that the National Geographic magazine has advertised a couple of times a sound and visual mixing board for a very reasonable price.
Yep.
And so those mini sound and mixing boards might be worth looking into. If anybody's been using one, we'd appreciate hearing how you either use it or think it works well.
Well, as I suggested, and you'd be well in the know, Rob, is talk to churches, because they've tackled this problem over the last year and a half, and they know what works and they know what doesn't work. So if you know anybody doing it, talk to them, because they've got a lot of cool ideas.
I have, and they're struggling.
I know.
The large churches with big budgets are
Yes.
doing well.
If you have a couple $1,000s to throw at it, you'll have no trouble getting all the equipment. But
And I think one of the other challenges that we have is, unlike churches, we don't have our own facilities. We're always borrowing, setting up, and taking down.
yeah, and that's my struggle. Is like I said, I got to make sure I can set it up in 15 minutes. But the problem is I don't get time to troubleshoot it. So last week I set everything up exactly the same, and then all of a sudden my wireless camera wasn't working. So now I have Barb Jones yelling at me because they can't see the speaker, but I'm like, I'm trying to fix it. So I had to run out there and plug it in manually and kind of,
I did not yell, I chatted.
no, but I'm like, I'm trying, Barb, I'm trying.
I heard that. I was over there, but I heard that.
There's
You
the
can-
chat room and the yell room, right?
And then,
All the way from Texas, we hear you.
Thank you.
Well, Barb, it was the capital letters in the chat. That's what he heard.
well, then
Thanks, Brandon.
the week before that, our speaker kept moving. So I basically had to go give the tripod to somebody in the audience and give him a tablet and say, here, you figure this out, because I can't keep following him. I can't.
Did your follow camera?
Well, the problem is the lens is this wide, so I can only set it up this way, and then they move over here.
One stacked on top of each other.
So this has been very helpful. Appreciate the conversation that took place during the break. And so welcome back, everybody. According to my clock, it's 9:26 and our break is over, and want to be able to move forward. So Pauline, if you could please share the screen with the next PowerPoint slide. And the next one after that, now that you've completed your break. And as we've said, we'll refer to this often throughout the morning, is we are dealing with a three-legged stool. And as we were learning it with public image, this is how we project ourselves to the outside world as well as the inside world of Rotary. And all of this has a goal of satisfying the needs of our membership, attracting members, and having people excited about where we're going. So let's switch now to membership as our topic. And I'm really excited to introduce to you Michaela Moore, who is a Rotaractor and is a member of the membership committee. Michaela?
Well, hi. Thank you so much for having me. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge how dedicated all you Rotarians are to be spending your Saturday morning, your sunny Saturday morning here with us. So thank you so much for being here. I am going to be talking about membership. I am on the district membership committee, and Pauline, if you could go to the next slide. I am on the membership committee. One more. We're going to be talking about fire, and Jim talked about this, Gary talked about this, Diane talked about this. We're going to start talking about fire. And what I'm going to do during my presentation today is I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break down each one of the letters of fire and discuss what those mean for membership and how you can use fire to add a spark to your membership. I'm going to try to create an engaging session here for you with a mix of polls in a breakout room, because I know that sitting on Zoom meetings can get a bit tiring. So I hope that this is an engaging session for you all, but we're going to start with flexibility. As we begin to talk about flexibility, we want to get a feel for how flexible you all feel your clubs are right now. So right now I'm going to ask Pauline, can you please launch our first poll? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how flexible do you feel like your club is currently? We're going to give about hopefully 30-ish seconds for you to vote.
Is 1 or 10 the highest?
Oh, good question, Brandon. I think of 10 as the highest amount of flexibility, 1 is the lowest amount of flexibility. 10 is so flexible, 1 is we are very traditional and rigid. I'm just looking at the votes come in here. Nicely done, everybody. Just give it a couple more seconds. I see about 7 people haven't voted yet. If you're one of those 7, go ahead and make sure you vote. All right. Pauline, do you mind showing the results? All right, can I have a thumbs up to make sure that everybody can see the results? Perfect. So I'm just looking over the results right here, and I see that the results are all over the board. They range from 10, one person voted 10, and we had one person who voted 1. But there is a pretty high median at like 6, 7, which shows that some clubs have a pretty median amount or middle amount of flexibility, but that there's certainly room for growth. And then some of them on the lower end have a lot of room for growth, but that's exciting because that means that we have work that we can do and we can improve. So fantastic. Thank you so much, Pauline, for helping do that. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about flexibility, and I want to state that clubs that have more freedom and flexibility can better attract new members and keep current members engaged. Now, I really liked this point, so I'm going to say it one more time. Clubs that have more freedom and flexibility can better attract new members and keep current members engaged. In 2016, Rotary Council on Legislation voted to give clubs more flexibility if, in when, where, and how they meet, and the types of membership that they offer. As a result, clubs can be easily innovative to serve their members' needs. So what does club flexibility look like? The first bullet point, let me see. Do you got it, Pauline?
Yeah, I can do it.
Thank you, Rockstar. Examine meeting format and meeting frequency. So what we mean by this is consider online meetings as an option when members can't meet in person. As a Rotaractor and a younger professional, I don't necessarily have the flexibility to leave for an hour and a half, 2 hours in the day once a week to go join a meeting. And I love taking part of meetings. Meeting online has allowed me the flexibility to join more meetings and take part of Rotary and feel much more connected to various clubs. Many of the suggestions will work for online meetings as well as in person. So allow audio or video conference. This flexibility can also accommodate people's busy schedules and also unforeseen circumstances like traveling or family emergencies. Clubs can also change their meeting frequency. So where a lot of clubs meet once a week, maybe consider changing the frequency to make it to where they're less frequent and more important for people to attend. However, do keep in mind that clubs should meet at least twice per month. However, if you designate one of those for social or service activity, those do count as meetings. Next bullet point. Change club rules. If attendance requirements or other rules are too demanding for your members, try easing the rules or eliminating them. Participation should be voluntary and not required. If your club is fun and engaging, members will attend and participate. Next bullet point. Consider offering alternative membership types like corporate, associate, family membership types, or even for young professionals. Consider how you can adjust your membership types to be more accommodating to various new members. Next bullet point. Next bullet point. Explore new models. So what we mean by this is if you really are true to wanting a lunch meeting, consider having a satellite meetings or sponsoring a satellite club where you can start a club that meets in the evenings or on weekends. But that is an easy way to make it more accessible, Rotary more accessible to more people and grow your club and possibly start new clubs. Also consider the opportunity to co-chair leadership roles. If your club is struggling to find members who are willing to step up into leadership roles, ask yourself why. Are the duties for the job too much of a time commitment? Dividing the duty between multiple people through co-chairing the positions divides the workload and can get more people involved in leadership. Next slide. So we want to hear about all the ways that your clubs have been practicing flexibility and innovation. We're going to put you all in breakout rooms of about 5 people and give you 7 minutes to talk amongst yourselves to share what your club has been doing to practice flexibility and innovation. When you get to your breakout room, please select one person to report back for your group when we get back to the collective group. So we are wanting you to discuss, how does your club practice flexibility and innovation? Please use this time to share your ideas and bounce other ideas off of each other. So Pauline, do you mind please breaking everybody up into about 8 breakout rooms, please?
Yep, so now you'll get a thing on your screen that says moving to a breakout room, and you'll be with 5 other people to discuss these questions. So you should see a pop-up on your screen that says join a breakout room, and just click join now, and that should work. Michaela, would you like me to broadcast that question to all the breakout rooms?
If you could, that would be fantastic.
Sounds good.
And then I've gone ahead and set a timer for about 6 minutes. And so then I figured we could send them a little message. Pauline, am I talking too fast?
No, you're great. Yeah, it's working out really well.
Thank you for all of your help.
You're welcome. All right, I should have broadcasted the message. So
Yeah, I got it on my side.
Okay.
Okay, so we have 8 groups and we're going to give them each about a minute. Because I planned my session for 45 minutes, but we had an hour and we're also running a little above schedule.
You could also jump into different breakout rooms if you want to just kind of
see how things are
going. Chill out here, whatever works best.
I don't quite trust my tech abilities to jump in and out. And I'm okay giving them.
Okay, sounds good.
The chance.
I've done that before and accidentally click leave meeting or something.
Yeah.
You don't need any added stress. But no, you're doing great.
You're doing great too. Thank you so much for all your help.
You're welcome.
Are we confident in the video playing abilities?
I'll get that set up right now. I'm going to, yeah, I can practice too right now.
We've still got a little bit of time until that part, but I was just curious.
Okay. So it's just the like Rotary International website that it's on?
Yeah, so I sent you the link for is Rotary for You. And on that home page, if you scroll down a little bit, they have the video right there. And that's what I just, I think I hit share and then I hit embed code. And that's what I did.
That link you sent.
Oh, you're really glitchy right now. I don't know if it's my connection or yours, but.
Probably.
Oh, I think I hear you. You're good again. So it looks like most of the rooms have 4 or 5 people. We were expecting a few more though, so I think that's okay. 4 or 5 will allow some good conversation. Okay, so I wrote down where I should be on time. Oh, and I am significantly ahead of time. I think we'll be fine now.
Okay, let's see if this will work. It might be a bit laggy at the moment.
So it sounds great and it looks like it's running fine. The only problem I see was there was that bar at the top.
Yeah, so I'll just make sure that's like at the top and not in the middle of the screen. That's just the Zoom bar that shows up.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep. And if that totally doesn't run, we can just send the link to the video. People can watch it either during it or after.
Yeah. Can you send a message and say 1 more minute?
Yep.
To all the rooms?
Okay, that should be sent out.
I see that. Yeah, looks great. Breathe and talk slow. Breathe and talk slow.
You're talking slow. You're good. I don't sense nervousness when you're talking, so you're all good.
I appreciate that. Chris, I wonder, are you there or did you just log on and then step away from your computer? All right, do you want to say 15 seconds or 30 seconds and then, or shut it down?
Close the rooms and then it gives everyone a minute to join back in.
Oh, do that then, yeah.
Yeah, everyone has 60 seconds to join back in.
Okay, so they'll kind of start flooding back.
Yeah.
All right.
Would you like me to reshare the slideshow? Or
no, actually just kind of keep it here because I think we're going to do a little bit of conversation.
Sounds good.
Welcome back. Thanks for rejoining.
I accidentally came back too soon. I wanted to ask a question of my group as to how many were doing hybrid.
What were you going to ask?
I wanted to ask my group number 2, how many were doing hybrid? So maybe you could throw up a poll to kind of get a feel for how many clubs are doing hybrid, live streaming, some sort of combination thereof.
Sure, yeah. Welcome back, everybody. We were just talking and kind of wondering how many people are doing hybrid meetings right now. So just by a show of hands, or using your reaction buttons in Zoom, if your club is doing a hybrid model, can you raise your hand? So I'm seeing 3 electric hands, and I'm seeing lots of little waves. I saw Joe, and I saw Renee. I see Jeff. People are moving all over the screen, but I'm seeing a lot of hands, which is awesome. It means that your clubs are practicing flexibility. Welcome back, everybody. All right. I think that we are all back now. So I'm the person who really sees the value in having the opportunity to talk with other people and bounce ideas off of each other. And so I really wanted to make sure that you had the time to do that. And now I would really like to hear what all of you kind of came up with, and what ideas you had, and how you've been practicing flexibility. So we had 8 groups, and I'd like the reporter for each group to take maybe 30 seconds to a minute to kind of share some of the ideas that were talked about in your group. So
I'll start.
Perfect, Kathleen. Thank you so much. Let's hear your ideas. What was talked about?
We had a great discussion. Everyone participated. We talked about flexibility or alternative membership types. More than one club are using corporate associate, family associate. One club is offering financial support to new members, which is a member alternative. And we talked about hybrid meetings. Several clubs are using hybrid meetings effectively as a flexibility, and some are considering going back to or starting hybrid meetings.
Very cool. That sounds like a lot of different ways the clubs are practicing flexibility. I'm so happy to hear that. Sounds like you had a really beneficial conversation. Thank you for
awesome Rotarians.
I feel like that anytime I'm in a Rotary meeting, especially, like I said, if people are spending their Saturday, I know they care about Rotary, and I'm so happy to be here. So thank you for reporting. Do we have another reporter who'd like to share?
Group 2.
Sure, Rob, go ahead.
So group 2, we talked about how we are meeting not only to sustain or attract new members, but also retain members. And that Barb out in Texas was a good reminder that being in a hybrid mode allows us to include and retain members who are not always in person at the same time that we are, and that is very helpful. I happen to also know that there's a couple of clubs in our region, Camas, Washougal, and White Salmon, have constitutional bylaws that allow for family and corporate memberships. So there's some flexibility going on there as well.
Yeah, the different membership types is a really great way to expand the Rotary family, to keep current members engaged by bringing in their families. I think that's such a lovely way to practice flexibility. Thank you so much for sharing and reporting, Rob. Do we have another group that would like to report out?
Hi, Michaela. George Capacci, Camas, Washougal. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. Hi, George. Thanks for reporting.
Super. Yeah, good morning. Good discussion in our group. We focused primarily on the flexibility that Zoom meetings allow us. Our clubs are still meeting Zoom. but we are transitioning to hybrid, and we see the technological advantage and the improvement of having a hybrid meeting, because those that really want to get back maybe on the lower end of your scale and flexibility, that want to meet in person, they have that option. Those that have time and distance, maybe job requirements, they can't make the distance, the long distance commutes to meetings and things like that, really want to take advantage of the ability to Zoom into a hybrid meeting. The hybrid meeting also gives us the opportunity to have speakers from far and wide that can spread out that diverse opinions and diverse aspects and bring them to our different clubs. We spend a lot of time, we spend all the time talking about meeting via Zoom and the flexibility that allows our clubs. But it was a good discussion. It's never enough time, obviously, when you get Rotarians talking, but it was good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, George, for reporting out. I took some notes while you're talking, and one of the things I kind of took is talking about flexibility and how can your club accommodate to the inflexibility of your members or other potential members. So it sounds like, the hybrid is such a great way to practice that. And I also
we have had some members that all the time we've Zoomed, they have not joined because they're on enough Zoom calls and they want to they're itching to get back together again. And we recognize that need within the club for personal interaction. And I think that's the people that are drawn to the Rotary, that want to work with other people.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I liked that you brought up also the idea of you can get more speakers involved. I wonder if I can just do maybe a visual hand raise, but how many of your clubs got more speakers involved or speakers from far that you might not have if you were in person? That's almost everybody. We get to hear from so many more great speakers because of the hybrid model. And I think, hybrid is something that is scary, and there's a lot of unknowns with the tech that we have to do, but it's really allowed for some great flexibility. I'm just going to go ahead and mute that person. So thank you so much, George, for reporting out. It sounds like you all had a great conversation.
I have a question to raise.
Sure.
One of the things that Lake Oswego has done, we've got 100% Paul Harris fellows in the club. I'm wondering, going to Zoom, if we'll be able to continue that kind of success. Raising Paul Harris members is a great way to fund our activities both locally and around the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think that 100% Paul Harris Fellows is a great accomplishment to strive for. I hope that the club can do that even in the face of hybrid. But I think sometimes the need to make sure that your members are engaged and active is important. And we hope that the Paul Harris Fellow percentages will keep up with that. But I guess time will tell. Laura, I see that you have your hand raised. Did you want to report out? You are muted.
Couldn't get unmuted. Sorry about that. Anyway, very quickly, we've been able to hear in White Salmon Benton from our past Rotary Youth Exchange students from many years ago, from different countries, from wherever they are in the world. They report in even from Italy. It's just really fascinating and fun and really engaging to hear the impact that our YE experiences have had on these folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's practicing that flexibility was a great way to get that member or that past Rotarian, that youth exchange person involved. And that's awesome. What a great way to practice flexibility. I think we should still have a couple more groups to hear from. Was there anybody else that wanted to report out?
Jim?
Yes, James.
Yeah, Jim. Yeah, in our group, what's been said was said there too, except that two of our clubs, ours and the Beaverton ones, are looking for a place to meet. So the Zoom has been a lifesaver that way to keep things going. And actually, in the case of our club, we had better attendance with Zoom than we had when we had just live meetings. And I think the combination of Zoom and live will be good when we get a place to meet again. Also, Bob Liddell, Lake Oswego, they actually spent $5,000 where they meet to equip it correctly for the technology, which was a good move for them and something we'll have to look at in terms of where we locate. So, and the last Rotary International really had a bunch of ideas on the use of magazine, had a bunch of ideas on the use of the technology and getting speakers and so forth. So,
yeah, I think that hybrid is such a beneficial tool. And I think it is important to talk about how a lot of clubs are having great success with hybrid, but at the end of the day, it's whatever works best for your club. So make sure you keep that in mind. Whatever is going to be most engaging and beneficial to your current members and the membership potential, suitors or potential prospects that you were hoping to reach. What can you do to engage them? Before I move on, was there any other groups?
Yeah, I'll speak up a little bit, Michaela.
Yeah, Terry, let's hear from you.
Well, we talked, of course, about the hybrid and the different meeting places and also the different kinds of memberships. But a couple of the things that were more internal to the clubs, they talked about a couple of the clubs have co-secretaries to ease the burden on the secretaries. And it made one club designated one the executive secretary, and then they can help out. Another thing that came up was social events, firesides, to engage your members. I think it was East Portland brought up tomorrow. They're having a bring your own picnic, where they get together and have a picnic, and everybody brings their own food. Just a great way to engage your members, and actually it's another way to invite new members, which I thought was a great deal. Another club, well, the Early Bird Club in Newburgh lost their caterer, so they just made a decision to drop breakfast and drop their dues by 50%. And so that was a big incentive. So that's where they are. So that's what we talked about, other than the hybrid and the Zooms and the stuff that everybody else has already talked about.
Yes, thank you, Terry, for offering some more ideas. And I think you brought up the idea of in-person events. So hybrid's great for connecting with people who can't meet together in person, but what about those people who do want the in-person connection? How are we connecting with them? And I think, offering in-person socials that are, responsible and at a comfort level that meets your members' needs, that's such a great additional way to practice flexibility. And you brought up the co-chairing or the co-sharing a role and how important that is. I think that is such a great way to get people who are busy and can't take on the full job duties of a position to share that, which brings two people into leadership. So I think that's great. Thank you for sharing those flexibility tips. It looks like Dr. Renee, you have your hand up.
I'll report out from our group. Just a couple of things that others haven't yet said, because we said some of the same things, but because of the fear of COVID, some clubs are being very tentative to come back. Some have gone Zoom only because of that. And some it's week by week, whether or not we're in, and part of that's also finding a facility that can stay open and be open. So there's that. But the satellite clubs, and somebody put it into the chat as well, but the satellite club has probably the best kind of flexibility, because they're doing the Zoom in that as possible, but they're also varying what happens in terms of one night, if I understood right, is a board meeting. One of their meetings is a board meeting. One's a service meeting. One's a social. And so that kind of interest and so forth brings new energy into the club. So I think those were the things our group we didn't hear from others.
Yeah, thank you for expanding and sharing some other great ideas as well. I also see some more ideas coming into the chat. I am just going to read these two, and then we are gonna move on. So Steve Williams said satellite clubs provide a flexible option, and I completely agree. And that's what was Dr. Renee was just talking about. And then Danielle Banks is also another membership committee member here, and she says, as part of the regular meetings, a few clubs use 10-minute breakout sessions at each of their weekly meetings to allow small groups of Rotarians and guests to have a personal chat. In one case, the president asks a discussion question to get the conversation started. Members love this part of each meeting. So what a great way to provide opportunities for your club members to speak and build connections, which we will talk a little bit more about later on. So thank you for sharing and adding that. So Pauline, if you don't mind pulling back up the slideshow. And as she does so, thank you everybody for taking part in that breakout room. I really hope that you got some ideas of how your club can practice flexibility, and it was a joy hearing about all the ways that your clubs are practicing flexibility. So as she kind of finishes pulling this up, you can see there, the point of being flexible is to accommodate members and grow Rotary. Let's see. Perfect. So next up, we are going to talk about impact, which is the I in FIRE. The number one reason people join Rotary is to make a difference in their community or around the world. Your members will feel proud and involved when your club carries out meaningful service projects. So we want to know, with our next poll that we're going to be asking, how many times a year does your club complete a service project that positively impacts your community? So the question, and I think Pauline's still kind of working here, maybe having a little tech difficulties, but oh, she's got it up and running. So how many times a year does your club complete a service project that positively impacts your community? The choices are 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 8, or 9 plus. We're going to give it about 30-ish seconds here for you to all cast your votes, and I'm excited to see how these go. All right, so it looks like, perfect. Thank you very much, Renee. All right, so Pauline, can you post the results? Are they shared right now?
They should be shared. Give a thumbs up if you see the results.
I see them.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So looking at the results here, 20% said 1 to 3, 34% said 4 to 6, 23, 7 to 8, and then 23% 9 plus. So the results are very all over the board. The highest percentage being in the 4 to 6, which would equate to being about one a quarter, or 1 every 3 months, which is pretty good. But I want to acknowledge the fact that we did have 8 people who said their clubs do 9 plus community projects that positively impact their community. So if you're one of those 8 that said your club does 9 plus, I want you to type your club in the chat, and maybe share with us what your favorite one is. So I will ask you to do that, and people can go ahead and kind of read as they share those. But we're gonna talk about why service projects are so important. So I'm going to have you go ahead, Pauline. Can you advance to the next slide? One more. All right, so to have the most successful service projects, determine which projects will be the most impactful to your community. So this is the essential first step in planning an effective project. And remember, we want as meaningful and as impactful service projects as possible, because projects are the number one reason people join Rotary. The next bullet point, lean on your club members' passion, skills, and areas of expertise. How can you bring your club members in to use them to plan really impactful service projects? Next bullet point. And develop partnerships and alliances within the community. How can you work with your community to expand your impact and make the biggest impact in your community? And I'm not going to talk too much of this because we have Tom Crozier up next to talk. So for now, I'm going to leave you there. But to be impactful, think about how we can use the three-legged stool with public image and branding, membership, and the Rotary Foundation to really attract and keep new members through impactful projects. Next slide. So now we're going to talk about reach. Hosting strong service projects, as we just talked about, is one way to connect with your community and expand the amount of people your club reaches. But what are some other ideas? So by a show of hands, either on your screen, just raising in your video, or using the react button, how many people check out a company or restaurant's website before visiting? How many of you look at their Yelp or look at their website or look them up online before you visit? So I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing 8 reactions, and I'm seeing lots of other physical hand raises. A lot. I do it for almost everywhere I go. That's why it's so important for clubs to have a strong social media presence and an engaging website. It will attract new members who are considering checking out your club and ultimately expanding your reach. So next, I want to go over some other ideas. Pauline, can you advance forward, please? So other ways to expand your reach. Next bullet point. As we just talked about, maintain a strong social media presence and host an engaging website. Next bullet point. Survey your membership for membership leads. Ask your fellow members about people they know in the community who would be assets to the club through the Finding New Members exercise to help you identify possible membership leads for your club to reach out to. Once your club has a list of potential members, invite the prospective members to a club meeting, a service project, or an event so they can see how your club helps the community and provide opportunities to form connections through friendship. Next up, consider sponsoring a new club. Expand your reach by sponsoring a satellite club, a Rotaract club, or an Interact club. And then another way to expand your reach is firing up your membership by using the power of one. So on the next slide, we have a video to share, which is the power of one video. And as we've kind of previously talked about, sometimes audio can be a trick or a little bit tricky to navigate, but we're going to try our best here to see if we can get this up and running for you all. Thank you, Pauline, for posting that. So the power of one is really great because it encourages your membership to reach out and invite one person. So this expands your reach because it gives the club access to that one additional person, but it also engages with your membership because it gives them the opportunity to, go to these events like the convention and district conference. So it is not only expanding your reach, but it is engaging your current membership. So consider sharing the power of one with your membership to see if you can expand your reach and grow your club. Next up, we're going to talk about engagement. So engaging someone in Rotary means making an effort to keep them interested. You can engage your members through conversation by introducing them to someone new or by getting them involved in an activity or role. Members who are engaged are more likely to have a positive experience and stay in Rotary. So we're going to launch our third poll here to ask, on a scale of 1 to 100, what percentage of your club, that kind of popped instead of front of my question, what percentage of your club is engaged in club activities? On a scale of 1 to 100, what percentage of your club is engaged in club activities? 100 being the highest, 0 being the least. I'm just looking at all of the answers coming in. We'll give it a couple more seconds. All right. Okay, Pauline, can you share the results, please? So, and I think somebody needs to be muted. So looking at these results here, it looks like the highest percentage of people voted at the 40 to 60%. So we're still at about half. Now, I will say during COVID, I know that a lot of clubs had a hard time maintaining engagement. So part of me is really proud of those results. And I see that there is a higher percentage of people that are engaged than aren't, which is always promising, but there's still room for growth. And that's okay, because next we're going to talk about other ways how you can engage your membership. So Pauline, if you can advance the slide, please. Ways to increase engagement. Ensure a welcoming, inclusive, and diverse club culture. Diane already spoke a little bit about this, but one reason members might not feel engaged is because they feel excluded or believe that others might not share their perspectives or their perspectives. Club vibrancy is directly correlated to the culture of your club and your membership. Say that one more time. Club vibrancy is directly correlated to the culture of your club and your membership. Diversity refers to inclusion of people of many groups. It is a source of innovation as well as one of Rotary's core values. Having members with different backgrounds and viewpoints gives your club a broader understanding of the community, its problems, and possible solutions. Strive to have a group of members who offer the club diverse skills, talents, and experiences. Another way to increase engagement includes getting all members involved at the club level and beyond. On the club level, consider starting affinity groups to help your members connect with other members based on common hobbies or interests, like a book club, a hiking group, a pinochle playing, group. Whatever interests your members have, help them connect with each other by starting affinity groups. Not only will this help your members feel more engaged with each other, they will feel more active and engaged with the club. District events and Rotary programs also provide ways for members to get to know people outside their club and have fun developing new skills. And on an international level, members can participate in Rotary programs that connect them with members from all over the world. You can also stay informed on new programs and courses from Rotary, and remember that different opportunities will appeal to different members, but try to make sure that all members are involved in one way or another. Another way to increase engagement is make your meetings worthwhile. Your members are volunteering their time to be a part of a club and make a difference. They have a lot of choices for fun ways to volunteer, and meetings that follow the same format every time can become a little dull. To make sure your members believe that a club meeting is a good use of their time, try activities that appeal to different interests and keep meetings lively and interesting. Next, you can also increase engagement by building personal connections. Making connections is one of the top reasons people stay in Rotary. Members can develop friendships and connect in many ways, and it is important that clubs facilitate this by incorporating activities and opportunities for members to get to know one another and have fun together. Schedule social time before or after meetings, or provide dedicated networking and social time. Another way you can increase engagement includes helping to develop membership skills. By offering leadership development courses and leadership positions to your members, they have the opportunity to build skills that transfer in any setting. Discuss these opportunities with new members during their orientation and remind them about these options periodically. Also consider offering young professionals courses or programs, for that is another way to allow new potential members the access to skilled, seasoned leaders and role models, mentorship programs, and other leadership opportunities. And the next step, conduct member satisfaction surveys. I can't stress this enough. By asking members for feedback regularly, you are demonstrating your openness to change and empowering them to help craft an ideal club experience. I feel like this is so important that I wanted to ask you all, has your club completed a member satisfaction survey in the last year, which is going to be our next poll? Pauline? Pauline, do we have our next poll?
I have a club about building club relationships. Is that the one? Does this work?
Oh. No, is there the next poll about the member satisfaction surveys?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, then I'm just going to ask for a raise of hands. If your club has completed a new member survey in the last year, can you raise your hand? Well, Pauline was able to pull it together really quickly. It's always interesting seeing these results come in. So Brandon, I see that you just said it's a bit hard to have membership satisfaction surveys in the last year with our ever-changing environment. And I completely agree, it's really hard. But I wonder if that's an opportunity to reach out to your club and see how you can engage them during the change, how you can support them through the changes that are happening. And maybe that's an opportunity to reach out and feel how comfortable they are. How are they feeling about the hybrid meetings? How are they feeling about meeting in person? Do they like how things are going? It's an opportunity to get feedback from your club members. And so I see the results here. We have yes at 12. 12 people said yes and 21 said no. I think good job. Thank you for the people who did the 12 and for the people that said no. You know, that's okay. All we can change is how we move forward. And that just gives us the opportunity to provide a survey moving forward. Because you want to use member satisfaction surveys to discover what your club members like, what is working, what is not working, and what changes they'd like to see in your club. But if you're going to survey your members, you also want to make sure to implement their ideas and show them that their opinions matter. All right. And then, so I'm going to start to wrap up here as I kind of have made our way. We've talked about flexibility. We talked about impact. We talked about reach. And lastly, we talked about engagement. So F for flexibility. Clubs can innovate to serve their members' needs. Clubs that have more freedom and flexibility can better attract new members and keep current members engaged. Your club can practice flexibility by examining meeting format and frequency, changing club rules as needed, offering alternative membership types, exploring new models, and considering the opportunity to co-chair leadership roles. The point of being flexible is to accommodate members and grow Rotary. I, for impact. Focusing on projects that meet real world needs means you can make a bigger impact on the community. Determine which service projects will be the most impactful to your community. Lean on your club members' passions, interests, and areas of expertise, and develop partnerships and alliances within the community. R, reach. To reach as many people as possible, make sure that you have strong social media presence and an engaging website. Grow your club through leads from your members. Encourage members to participate in the Power of One, and even consider starting a new club. And E, engaging someone in Rotary means making an effort to keep them interested. Engage with members from the start through new member orientations and strong mentorship programs. Keep members engaged by working to create a welcome, inclusive, and diverse club culture. Get all members involved by making meetings worthwhile, and help build personal connections and develop skills and conduct membership surveys regularly. We hope that today you have learned a little bit how you can use FIRE to ignite your membership. We do have a couple of extra minutes. We're running a little ahead of schedule, so I'm happy to take any questions. I might not always know the answer, but I am always happy to look into it or find somebody who can. Does anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to add? Wow, was I that thorough?
Michaela, I'll take one.
Okay, yeah, Tom.
So we did a satisfaction survey 2 years ago or so. It was pre-COVID, and certainly maybe it's time to do another one, but my preference at that time was to follow through and try to address the suggestions from that survey before we run into the next survey and not finish the ideas from the first try. So would you suggest doing a survey every year then?
I would suggest every year is a goal and a strong suggestion point. But I think one thing that's important is that if you're going to do a new member or like a member satisfaction survey, make sure that you're implementing the feedback. Because I think it's important for your members to know that not only are you asking for their feedback, but that you're willing to listen to it and try to accommodate it, or use it as a discussion point. So I think once a year is a goal, but I think at the end of the day, it's wise for each club to do what they feel is best fitting for their club. And that's going to be my answer for a lot of things, because nobody knows your club better than you do. Bob Liddell.
I think that we've done surveys in the past at Lake Oswego 4 or 5 times in the time that I've been in that. But I think one of the common things that I think is very important that every company does is satisfaction surveys back. I think hybrid's an excellent example of after each meeting offering a suggestion sheet. How was the meeting? Like what you've done today. It's a perfect way. The people at club meetings don't necessarily pick up that sheet and will answer that question and turn them in at the end. So any way possible to get them wanting to bring feedback is important. And I think the hybrid's the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, Bob. And you brought up the point of like offering a way for your club to hear feedback. And not all your members might participate, but that's okay. The goal is to have people give them the option to provide their feedback. And those that want to will, and those that don't have the feedback won't. But I just think that's a good way to feel your club members out and to hear their voice. So thank you for offering that suggestion.
You bet.
Let's see, Brandon, I see that you have your hand raised. So Brandon.
Bit of a leading question, but is there a member satisfaction survey that Rotary International has?
There is.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
There is. I have put together a handout for the end of this session. The handout that I put together includes a summary of all of the points that I went over here today, as well as a link to RI's membership resources. Now, when I was putting together this handout, I actually started breaking up, and writing out all of the membership resources that there were, but there was just too many to put on a single handout. So if you use this handout and click on it, it'll bring up all of RI's resources. And one of them is, in fact, a membership survey. And it talks you through how to do that, how to use the feedback you get, things like that. So maybe as Tom is talking next, since there is interest in that, I will go ahead and look up that specific document and share it with you all. And it looks like Pauline just dropped my handout in the chat. So if anybody's interested, you can go ahead and download that. And then at the bottom, I say click here. And if you, it's a hyperlink and you can click that and it'll pop up all of RI's membership resources. Still got a little bit of time. Did anybody else have any questions? See, I'm trying to look at the chat, see if I missed anything. Okay. All right, I don't hear anybody. I don't see any hands. So I want to thank you all so very much for taking part in the membership portion of this session. I think we are going to go to a break. So stand up, stretch, or use this time to chit chat with each other.
Yeah. So we will be taking a break and resuming at 10:30. Michaela, thank you so very much for your presentation. It was awesome.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Michaela, you did a great job. You're on fire. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you to say. I really appreciate that.
The fire
I'm Rotary, and I hope to share that passion and help people grow Rotary, because I just think it's a great organization to be a part of, and I want to get everybody involved. So thank you for saying that. And Brandon, I'm so sorry. Did you say something?
Nice job, Michaela. I know that you come from a great area. So
Thank you, Bob. It's so nice to see you.
I missed the bottle drive last weekend, so I got like 19,000 bottles for you guys. So.
Oh my goodness. Well, if you ever want a Rotoractor to swing by and pick him up, just send me or Casey a message, or we would look forward to seeing you next time.
Oh yeah, well you'll give it. So, hi
Oh,
Laura.
Bob.
You know where to
Bob,
find.
How are
I
you?
have my suspicions of what those bottles are. Just saying, buddy. I know you too well.
Yeah.
I was just commenting on Laura's timely use of the word fire.
I saw that. I appreciated that. All right, I'm going to use this opportunity to take a little break of my own. So I'm going to turn my camera off, but I will be right back with you all. Thank you so much.
I just want to let everybody know, this is Dennis Long, the membership chair for the district. Michaela did knock it out of the park, in my opinion. But we are continually looking for folks that want to become involved with district Rotary Committee membership. And as you can tell, there's some wonderful folks on this committee that when we all get together and work hard and put programs together, it's a wonderful feeling. So if you yourself, or if you know of someone that would enjoy helping on the committee, send them our way. We would love to chat with them and bring them into the fold.
Welcome back, everybody. My clock says it's 10:30 and an opportunity for us to resume the workshop and get going, because we also want to value and appreciate your time and spending with us. And if you could put the slide deck back up, please, Pauline. This is an opportunity for us to introduce Tom Crozier, who will be leading us through TRF. This is a important part of the stool and is connected to all of the other activities that we're doing. It's one thing to attract members, but we want those members to have an impact, and having an impact can be greatly enhanced through the Rotary Foundation. So, Tom, welcome, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Gary. So my goal here is to try to bring the Rotary Foundation and projects really and help clubs think about how might you develop a vision and strategy that encompasses all three of these legs. A good friend of mine in District 5110, past District Governor John Bushnell, used to say, if your club is struggling to attract new members, do more projects. So in addition to creating a welcoming environment and promoting your club to attract new members, having a member-centered approach to engagement is essential. We need to provide a Rotary experience that is both personally and professionally fulfilling. The Rotary Foundation is the funding arm for how we as Rotarians do service, both locally and internationally. In this next section, I would like to encourage you to think about how you identify, design, and promote your club projects. Your contributions to the Rotary Foundation provide money back to the district, which can be used to help pay for the great work that we do in our communities. So can you go on to the next slide? Do I have the ability to advance, or is Pauline going to do that?
Yes, you have the ability to go to the bottom left corner. There should be arrows.
I do not.
Can you click on the right side of the screen?
Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. Get rid of that one. Okay, so we've talked a lot about fire. Flexibility is certainly an element of doing projects, but I'd like to focus on these three key elements: increasing your impact, expanding our reach, and in particular, engagement. And I guess from my perspective as TRF chair, I believe that a multi-year project and giving plan is key to success in a club. Talk about how a project will impact. And that's really a key piece of what we do in our clubs. And then I'm going to talk some about assessing community needs as a way of promoting projects and having greater community participation. So RI President Shaker Mehta has posted 4 initiatives on the Rotary website: Empowering Girls, Grow Rotary, each one bring one; Rotary Days of Service, and then areas of focus for presidential conferences. So the areas of focus, let me just cover that very quickly. We'll explore the intersections of our areas of focus. The 2021 Presidential Conference Series will highlight the humanitarian work that Rotary does in clubs and districts, both locally and globally. There are going to be 7 conferences worldwide, and the last one will be in the United States at the International Convention in Houston next June. So if you're going to attend that, I would really encourage you to sit in on that conference, on that presidential conference, because that should be quite interesting. So I'm going to focus on Rotary Days of Service, which is one of his 4 initiatives. And why is that one of his initiatives? It's because he believes that it's a way to encourage prospective members in your club. His statement on this is that we encourage clubs to offer meaningful volunteer opportunities for families and partner organizations. to address challenges in your community that are related to one or more of our areas of focus. Make it easy for your community members to see us as people of action. Encourage them to take action with us, regardless of their profession and their affiliation with Rotary. So the first step in identifying a project, and he has a certificate that for clubs that satisfy the criteria that he's established, and that is in a brochure that I will have available at the end. Work with leaders from your community or a nearby one to determine the opportunities for service. And I have a couple of examples of projects that I'd like to go through. But we had a district grant request submitted last week from the Rotary Club of Canby, and they are proposing a community summit. And it's going to be a dinner, and they're inviting members of the community to come in, and they want to talk about what Rotary is doing in the area of peace. But what a great opportunity, a great idea to identify what are the needs in the community and get some input on where you might look at within your community as a Rotary Club to identify projects. So in Rotary for global grants, we have what we call community assessment tools, which is a brochure. It's 20 pages long, but it talks about what are some good ways to assess. So Canby is doing the community meeting, but there are other ways. Assessing your community strengths and weaknesses is an essential first step in planning an effective project. By taking the time to learn about your community, you can discover the best opportunities for service and maximize your club's ability to make an impact. While conducting an assessment, be sure to manage expectations. Communities should understand the benefits of partnering with Rotary and how that partnership requires their involvement, contribution, and ownership. And this again is a brochure that we use for global grants, but there's a lot of good information there to consider in doing local projects as well. So once you've identified a project, and this comes back to President Maida's proposal for Rotary Days of Service, to satisfy that, that project program, you need to have more than one club involved, and that could be an Interact club or a Rotaract club, as well as another club. Align with the Rotary's areas of focus. Promotion is critical. And a key element that President Maita is really looking at here is get people from outside your Rotary Club to participate in these projects. And his target is 25% of your volunteers should not be current Rotary members. Once you've done a project, then celebrate on social media, and then he's asking that you put it into the Rotary Showcase. And that's a way of proving that you met the requirements for the certification, but it doesn't necessarily meet the local promotion and membership building initiatives of our Vibrant Club model today. And remember, when you're sharing on social media and in press releases, your club will get more press when you highlight the organization that you're benefiting through these projects, as opposed to highlighting Rotary itself. Just make sure that your publications have Rotary's brand all over it. So a couple of thoughts around Rotarians at Work Day and some timelines for projects. Rotarians at Work Day is April 30th, the last Saturday in April. And DG Jim has been in conversations with Habitat for Humanity, looking at an opportunity possibly of developing a day of service district-wide to build houses with Habitat for Humanity. More information will be forthcoming on this as we move closer to the Rotarians at Work Day. Another approach for a project might be to consider tying it to a United Nations Observances Day. And there's a curated list of United Nations observances in President Maida's brochure. But as an example, March 21st is the International Day of Forests. March 22nd, International Day, World Water Day. So if you're looking for ideas to have project too, these would certainly lend themselves to publicity and getting community involvement. So I would like to ask that you share your thoughts in chat. For your clubs, do you have ideas for how, have you done, or do you have ideas for how you might do an assessment in your community to identify needs in your community? Some ideas for projects that might involve getting more community volunteers engaged. And then how do you promote? And this is really, you need to get the word out ahead of the project, get the volunteers lined up, and then after the event, how do you want to promote that project in a way that publicizes Rotary, but also engages the members who participated in that volunteer project, and use that as a way to build membership. So I would open this to a conversation in chat, and I've asked Gary to kind of help me keep track of that in case I get behind.
And Tom, just so everybody knows, in the chat box, I have already posted both the Rotary Days of Service brochure as well as the community assessment tool. So you will find those in the chat box.
Great. Thank you, Gary. So any thoughts on ideas for an assessment in your community as a way of identifying projects with impact that your club could pursue? Steve.
You want me to say something too, Tom?
Yeah, why don't you just say something? That's a long message. It's easier for you to say it than to read it.
Okay. Well, I just thought, if we can bring together community leaders from different organizations to kind of have an open forum discussion to help identify what the needs are in the community. That can involve people from the Chamber of Commerce, the city of, city organization, city of Hermiston, for example, in our community, but other organizations as well that have an interest in developing our community. I think if by everybody getting together and talking about that, it helps create and brainstorm even more areas that we would tend to overlook.
Yep, that's a great idea.
Steve, in Seaside, we've tried to do that very thing, but it's been hard to get people to join together in the same room or to get on the same page. How has that gone for you?
Stu, I didn't say that we had done that. That was suggested.
Oh,
That's just
okay.
an area that I'm looking forward to something to help with the local next year's club president to look at, is how we can do that. But yeah, there would be challenges associated with that, I'm sure.
So Stuart, what Canby has done in their district grant proposal is to hold a community summit, and they're going to fund the dinner. So they're buying people dinner to get them to come. Maybe that's an incentive to get them to participate.
There you go. Good
Hey,
idea.
Tom,
Yep.
this is Bob Liddell. I think that what we're going to try, I'm going to take back the idea that we have a great new convention place in Lake Oswego, the Iron Light, that the Rotary Club hosts a lunch by community leaders, and anybody wants to come, it'll hold 200 people. Do an assessment for needs for the homeless. And I've got an idea that I think one of the things like Tough Shed Company I've worked with in the past, every community in the Portland area needs to build smaller homes, little houses and everything else, homeless type houses in every community to draw back the people that came from those communities to downtown Portland. I'm going to offer that back to our club. I think we got the capability and the resources to make it happen through the community.
It's a great idea, Bob. Thank you. Kathleen Jordan, would you like to talk a little bit about the Canby Community Summit?
Sure, Tom. Our idea is to bring together a cross-section of community leaders and business owners and organization in our community. And like I said in the chat, we've invited 135 people. And we have an agenda that involves getting to know you. We're also wanting to break down some of the barriers that seem to have grown over the last few years. So it's about assessing what we can do together to build or stabilize our community, and also just to be face to face and hear each other.
That's great.
So we're really excited about it.
And I don't believe I've ever seen a district grant application for helping to fund a community summit such as you're doing. So congratulations on that. That's a great idea.
Thanks, Tom.
And I had one other comment from all right. Oh, Laura Homer. Laura, can you just speak up and talk a little bit about what you're doing in White Salmon?
Sure. Thank you, Tom. So we have an annual community cleanup started by one of our former members. May he rest in peace. We spend 2 days within the community, with community leaders, with partnerships, with our waste partners, and in situ comes in and recycles electronics. We have backhoes. We have a substantial area where community members can exchange items. So if you're going to get rid of that bookshelf, maybe I'm going to get rid of a bookshelf and you want it, Tom, so you can come in and take it for free. But people come in with tires and whatnot, and they pay to come in. That's how it's a fundraiser for us. And we have a fantastic turnout.
Great. And when you talk about impact, I think that clearly is a project that has tremendous impact and will get the community engaged and involved, and hopefully bring some new members into you as well.
Yes, it has functioned that way.
Great. Congratulations.
So, Tom, there seems to be a real consistency of the importance of listening, as Danielle is mentioning with Portland's Peace Builder Committee. And one of the other things that I've observed is sometimes we can get in a rut and we always doing things the way we've always done them. But by going out and listening to the community, especially post-COVID, maybe some of the things that we think are needs and important of what we're doing with our clubs, with projects, are not as relevant, or maybe lower on the priority list because things have changed in our community. And I think that's one of the real advantages of doing an assessment, is find out, so what's the important thing that we can do to support the community now versus maybe how we've been doing it for the last 30 years.
Right. And we didn't really talk in these conversations about how you promote prior to the event, and then after the fact, how do you take pictures and use that as a way of promoting it to build Rotary's image in the community, and again to promote the group that you're serving.
Yeah.
But those are some other things to think about there.
Yeah. So if our Rotary Club is viewed by the community as the group that listens to us, that in itself can be a real positive.
That's great.
This is Bob Liddell. I offer back because Mark Waller's on the board of Habitat for Humanity. Ideal time and conversation to go to them about changing their format. Not that individual houses aren't important, but maybe the need today is smaller houses for the homeless, because their structure can accommodate building a lot more than what they do now with community leaders. It's been in place for a long time. It would be an ideal situation.
Yep. And hopefully we'll hear more from District Governor Jim about that. Okay, I'm going to move on. I just wanted to run through a couple of projects fairly quickly that to help emphasize some of the key elements on how do you design a program. What are some things to think about in a project? And I guess one comment I would like to make to everyone is, when you do a district grant, these are both district grant projects, please, when you're doing your final report, include pictures from the project, because I went through a lot of final reports from last year and almost none have pictures. And I know that you're taking pictures. It would be nice if they're in the final report as well. So the first project I'd like to talk about quickly is the Greater Clark Club had a project last year for Christmas, and they did this jointly with Vancouver Club for hygiene supplies for the family resource centers. And these are through the school districts. And it was done going into Christmas to help families go into Christmas. So think about what does the community need? This gets back to the assessment piece. But many families have some resources available, but they struggle to get hygiene supplies. And that's one of the things that they're trying to do through these family resource centers. The community resource, the community partner then, who are your community partners? In this project, it's the school districts, 2 school districts, and then the Rotary partners are the Rotary Club of Greater Clark and Vancouver. And this was a district grant project as well. The leadership is through the school foundations, and they take the toiletries that were provided then and pass them on to the families. The Rotary involvement is purchase of the materials, identify with the resource centers what do they need, and then purchase the materials and then deliver them to the resource centers for distribution to the families. The outcome, they've helped more than 500 family members through that process. The impact, and this is really the key, particularly in the timing of this one, because it was going into Christmas, is to help relieve some of the stress for these families by supplying items they typically can't find through their normal sources of help. This was the second year that Greater Clark has done this. And so one of the things to think about if you're doing a project, and White Salmon's an excellent example, is that cleanup is something that goes on every year. And look for, when you're building projects, consider doing something that you can build on and do year to year and build that as an expectation within the community. In this case, the need is continuing. So the goal will be to continue to identify opportunities to improve quality of life for these folks. Second project is one working with students at a school. This is an elementary school, 5th grade boys and girls. It's a Title I school with many in a lower income area of town. Happens to be one I'm very familiar with. Many one parent families. So the type here is a little bit small, so let me read through this. It's a 7-week or an 8-week program. It evolves a bit. That's the flexibility of it. But the first is getting the kids together, doing a project and what they want to do. We provide them magazines and they make some charts and then they get up in front of the group and talk. And part of the purpose of this is to get them speaking before a group to build that interest. We take the kids to the fire department. There's a tour of a fire engine and an ambulance. And then the fire marshal does a presentation on fire safety. I always ask him to emphasize the importance of education, and they get to apply ACE bandages, and he talks about pressure points. And then we finish that session off with a fire hose, and they divide the kids into 2 teams and they knock over cones with the fire hose. The third week is fitness, nutrition, personal hygiene, and exercise. The boys make jump ropes, the girls do hula hoops. And we have a banker come in, we talk about money management. We do some budgeting and lessons in how to plan for housing, food, transportation, entertainment. 5th week, and then is what's my line, and we get volunteers from the community to come in and have the kids guess their professions. And then the police chief comes in and gives a little talk on making good choices. The 6th week then is on manners. We give the boys a long sleeve shirt, teach them how to tie a tie. And then a field trip to a senior living center. The girls, their correlating trip on that is a trip to a beauty school where they get their hair done and makeup. And then the final week is a celebration, give everybody a copy of the 4-way tests and slides with cake. We've had tremendous support from the community in this project. And I'm going to find my notes. So, I'm sorry. So not only the school district, but we get a lot of community members volunteering as mentoring for the girls and boys. The senior living center provides a free lunch for everybody, and they get to practice good manners. The fire department, police department have been very involved, and then of course the beauty school. The picture here is the boys on the fire hose. They do 2 teams, and the cone's about 75 feet away, so they get to practice with a high pressure hose and knocking down the cones, and it's a bit of a competition. The Rotary partner in this case is a matching grant, and that's helped. The cost of the program runs between $4,000 and $5,000 each year, so we do get a matching grant. One of the interesting observations that I made in this picture here, this young man, many of these kids are used to eating fast food, going to a nice cafeteria like the senior living center. You can see he's trying to figure out how to use his knife to eat spaghetti. A lot of boys have never used a knife. So the leadership for the program comes from our youth services committee and a lot of community volunteers. This is the women that come in. We have about 25 girls, and there's 13 adult women volunteers that work with them. So there's a lot of coverage there, similar for the boys. This is the mayor of Washougal, and she's also a member of the Rotary Club, very actively involved there. And then in this session, they're talking about the budgeting session with the girls. The superintendent is very supportive of this program and very engaged with it as well. So the inputs, we do purchase some things. The volunteers are critical for this, and we get tremendous number of people coming in. This is a picture of the girls with their hula hoops, and then a picture at the beauty school. And again, the boys are given long sleeve shirts with the tie and taught to tie the tie, and then they wear these out to the dinner at the community center. The impact really is improved self-image for these kids. A lot of them are single family parents, single parent families. And so respect for others and for authority, and then the importance of school education and learning. And number one, we try to make it really fun for the kids. Sustainability, this program's been running since 2012, except the last 2 years, unfortunately, with COVID, we were not allowed to continue that. But the family members do look forward to this program because the older brother or sister's gone through the program, and the kids coming up to the school really are looking forward to it. And then again, it's been a tremendous partnership with the community. So in review, when you're looking at a project, identify your community partners, do the needs assessment, figure out what you really want to focus on for the greatest impact. A question came up for if we use pictures, do we need to get the parents' approval? Yes, we do. These pictures here, because the kids are fairly far away, generally we do not. But if we're taking a picture like the young man eating lunch with the knife, then yes, we would need to get parents' approval. The impact is tremendous in this community, and I think a great example. So coming back and summarizing then, when you're looking for projects, and again, back to TRF, I do encourage continue and promote donations with your club to bring money back to the district to help fund some of these projects, and make sure your project is going to have a great impact. Do the assessment to ensure that. And hopefully then coming out of the project, you will get great engagement from your community volunteers. This club has actually had 2 of the mentors join the club as club members. And that's what I have, Gary. I'm going to put it back to you then. Any questions or comments?
Any questions or comments for Tom before we move forward? Great. Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank all of you for being participants today. Again, it's the three-legged stool. All of these pieces work together to make a vibrant club. And we're just excited to be able to share that aspect with you. And I'm going, let's see, I want to advance to this one. Just a reminder of our strategic priorities and objectives and FIRE. And thanks to Michaela for all of the beautiful graphics that really emphasized this whole point. And Jim, if you have some closing comments, would appreciate your thoughts. And before people start leaving us, we do have a poll that we'll be putting up as an evaluation for the session. So Jim?
Hey, thanks, Gary. And first, let me thank all the ones that presented. Past District Governor Diane Noriega, an outstanding job with inclusive diversity, equity, accessibility, along with images and pictures. And I appreciate Brandon, who personally has coached me on video, and he's been an outstanding resource for media. Thank you very much for that education. And Past District Governor Renee, always an expert in branding. Thank you. Michaela, outstanding. If we are fortunate to have a young professional like yourself helping us to understand the the elements in our action plan. And Tom, your experience is evident when you showed impact, reach, and engagement through those examples. I want to also thank our participants. Our goal today was to demonstrate excellent training and to show exceptional value. And we wanted to give you a new perspective on the interrelationships of the three essential elements with our strategic priorities. I think we accomplished that. I hope we've lit a fire so that we can continue to make a difference and serve to change lives. And thank you very much, each and every one of you, for participating. And Gary, I'll turn it over to you for the survey.
Great, thank you so much. And before we get into the survey, I really do want to single out Pauline Peterson from Lake Oswego High School, our Interact member who has been helping us with the technical work in the background. So thank you so very much. And Pauline, if you could put up the final poll, and we ask that you go through and answer these questions so that we can get an evaluation. And there are several questions, so you'll want to scroll down. We'll give it a few more seconds. It looks like almost everybody has participated in the survey. I'm looking for 4 more. That's great. Thank you so very much. Please, if we're going to leave the line open here for a little bit longer because we do have some links that are in the chat that you will have an opportunity to download if you haven't already. But be aware that if you are participating in this particular workshop, I will be sending you an email that includes those links as well as handouts and brochures that we've made reference to. So thank you very much. I appreciate all of you being here. I am just so excited to see what happens in the clubs that you are working with. And remember that we're focusing on our members who happen to be members of a club, but so think member first, as well as how we can best support our community, how we can reach out and have a significant impact. So thank you all very much and hope you have a great day. Rumor has it the weather's going to be nice for the rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Great job, Gary. You guys did a great job.
Thanks, Renee.
Yeah.
Hey, Pauline, can you take down the slide?
There we go.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. Pauline just made this whole thing pull together.
Yeah.
Thanks for complimenting her, Dan. Gary, I forgot about it. I felt bad. Great job, Pauline.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah.
So Pauline, do you have a way of downloading the poll results so that we have them for posterity?
I'm trying to figure that out. It's not giving me I might have to share the results and then do it that way. If that's all right.
Can you stop the recording too? And that way we just can keep it to the end.
Yep.
And then I'm assuming it's on Pauline's machine, but we can get it uploaded to you.